Slurpy diddly do, my G's. All right, today I want to touch on a little bit more about mid-side EQing and a nice tip, something that I often do. I haven't talked about much on YouTube. A little tip and trick for mid-side EQing. So I want you to imagine I've just got two sounds here. I've got a worm break and a bass line. That's basically it, right? But this is just for demonstration, so it's not perfect or anything, but I want you to imagine these are your two groups. For example, you've got your bass group with all of your basses in, and you've got your drum group with all of your drums together, right? So when it comes to mid-side EQing, firstly, by the way, this bass, wonderful. The Motion Sickness from my latest Serum pack, Motion, which is still on sale, but runs out very, very soon. But in case you watch this video later, don't worry, it's still well worth the full retail price in my opinion. But anyway, a little shout out to Serum Motion there. So yes, mid-side EQing. So what I've mentioned in videos in the past is that mid-side EQing is important. It's important to do on your groups because if you do on your groups, then you can make sure you get everything. Get your side cuts on everything, right? So the goal is basically we're making everything sort of mono below 80 hertz usually, something around there, because nothing really below 80 will sound that great in stereo on any system, So sort of around 80 or 70 or below, you kind of want everything mono, right? So this is a great way you can do that nice and smoothly with mid-side EQing, okay? But the tip here for this video is where should you exactly do the cut and on what group and how much you take out for each group. So it completely depends what you want to do. My golden rule is sort of below 80 hertz roughly is the bare minimum for everything because nothing in this, no sound really sounds good down there in stereo, So that's my sort of golden rule. But then when we start thinking about, between 80 and 200, for example, then we have a bit more leeway to play with what we want to keep in stereo, what we want to keep in mono. Okay, so you as a producer get to decide what you do here. Something I often like to do, which works quite well for a lot of mixdowns, is to make the drums a little bit more mono by bringing out some of the stereo, maybe up to 150 or 200, and making my bass a little more stereo, so not going up as high on the bass. On the bass, maybe only going up to sort of 80. So that's something I often do. So you can imagine your bass has got a little bit more room in the stereo in the low end, where the drums are sort of still central, and then as you come up to sort of 200, then you got like the drums get more of their stereo character coming in. But you've got this whole section sort of between 80 and 200 or 80 and 150 where the stereo field in that low area is sort of being the bass is having the most of that room, so you can imagine that it's like the bass is sort of hugging the drums at that low area, so that's something I like to do. I think it's quite cool. So for example then I can cut my bass. If you look on span, you can see my bass, it's got a lot of stereo in the low end. Because in this Serum patch, there's lots of effects like chorusing and stereo effects, so it's important to mid-side EQ it anyway. But if I wanted to take that out, if I want to do it nice and smoothly, I might go over it a couple of times with a side cut, because one cut won't quite do it, and I'm not a big fan of sharp curves. So let's go over 3 times or so. All just under 80 hertz, nice smooth side cuts. And now if we look on span, is the side information is the one in front here. So we've sort of taken most of it out now. So it starts to creep up around 60 or 80, but we've taken out the real subby part that we don't like. But yeah, still got a nice amount of stereo bass in that 80 to 100 hertz area. Again, it's not exact, but the concept is the important thing here, right? So with the drums, if we take a look at those on span, you can see They don't have as much stereo, but they've still got a fair bit. The kick's got a fair bit, sort of around 150 and 200 still. And so what I can do is for the drums, let's go all the way up to sort of 200, for example. Yeah, I'll put another one on just to be a bit more clinical with it. So we're really taking most of it out now. So if you look now, we got rid of all that stereo sort of between, yeah, all the way from the bottom up to about 200, right? And now if we play them together, we've basically made it so that, yeah, the bass has more priority in that sort of 80 to 200 area in the stereo realm. So this has the effect of the bass sort of hugging around the drums, as I mentioned, and it also creates extra clarity and space between the two groups, you know. So something I quite often do, and it can be really useful to give you like extra space in your mix down. And you can always do it by ear as well. So now going back to my EQs, I can sort of listen in the mix and tweak them around a bit, you know. And then maybe I'll go back to the drum EQ and play with that one a little bit. And you're really looking for sweet spots in the audio signal, pretty much, you know. You're looking for a nice balance between how much stereo you're using in the low end for both of the separate groups. You can apply this thing to the other groups as well, like your pads, your leads, your vocals. Same things apply. I'm just doing it for the bass and the drums, because with the bass and the drums, we're dealing with the real low end, you know, and really that's where this is the most important to get right, you know. So if you can find those sort of sweet spots where you put your mid-side cut, where you put your side cut on both groups, you know, listen as you do it. Don't just guess randomly. Like, listen to how the mix changes as you do it. But conceptually, I think this is always a great way to do it. Having that bass have a little bit more low-end stereo than the drums have, and that creating a little bit of separation down there in the stereo field, you know. So it's something I like to do a lot. And again, yeah, I've done it with a bunch of EQs because, as I mentioned, like I prefer to have a bit more fluid control and a bit more subtle controls rather than a really sharp cut, which can kind of degrade the sound quality on your groups sometimes, you know. So that's why I've done it with like sort of multiple EQs. So I'm sort of smoothly getting that side cut sort of dialed in, you know. But yeah, that's just a little tip today. It's a really nice and easy one, but it's a tip that I think will help a lot of you guys out. It definitely helps me a lot to think about things like this. So hopefully you enjoy that today. And yeah, just a little tip. I mean, I've just pulled out a random break and a random sound. So, you know, I'm just using these to demonstrate the concepts. But if you do this in your own project as well, this concept, I guarantee you'll get a bit more clarity in your low end and a bit more separation down there. So there we are, my G's. Thank you very much for watching. If you're new to the channel, hit a subscribe button and come along and join the journey. Leave a comment and a like as well if you can. And yeah, other links down in my videos as well. You can find preset packs for Serum, this brand new one, Motion, the sale is just about ending, I think, in a moment. And then we have Vital preset packs, Phase Plant and Current packs on my site as well. You can also book me for one-on-one lessons. My calendar is linked down below. You can send me an email if you want any mixing and mastering work done. And finally, come along and join me on Patreon. We have a great community over there. There's loads of free downloads you can get. You can join as a free member first, get some free downloads that are like attached to my videos, and then later, if you want to join join in on the Discord, that's where all the action is. You can get feedback on your tracks from the other members and join all the community channels and take part in our group live streams and things like that. All right, that's it for me today. More from me very soon. Much love.